Welcome back to the Bionicle Inspiration series, the show where we spotlight creations from across the LEGO community to give you inspiration and ideas. And today I'm going to be combining two of my childhood favorites, and my favorites as an adult, Pokemon and LEGO. We're going to check out some incredible creations, and we're going to get you ready for the day that LEGO eventually reveals what those official LEGO Pokemon sets are going to look like. I cannot wait. Let's dive in. The first mock we have today is by Zane Builds, and it depicts the Pokemon Gyarados, and it's using the move Thrash. Here's a side-by-side with the mock and the Pokemon, but of course this is a shiny red Gyarados, not the original blue one, so here is a proper side-by-side. And dude, what a perfect rendition! The face alone is just mind-blowing. Those sharp angles, the angry look in his eyes. It is perfect. One thing I really appreciate that Zane has done is he's not covered up any of the studs on this Pokemon. Yeah, most builders, when they build any LEGO mock, they don't like studs, which seems a little counterintuitive because it is LEGO. But I get it, you often get a more clean result when you remove the studs. It does look really nice. But I don't know. Seeing all of these bumps here, it kind of looks like fish scales. And even just that repeated visual of this uneven, bumpy surface. It gives the mock a kind of harder edge. It makes Gyarados feel that tiny bit more intimidating. I don't know, maybe I'm reading into that a little bit too much, but I don't know, I think that repeated texture really helps. More builders need to go for that untiled approach. You just don't see people doing it all that much. The mock itself is awesome, but the choice to also have it moving around and thrashing and splashing the water, that is sick. Throwing in just that little bit of extra storytelling is always a good thing to see. Zane's Instagram had a few images that showed the kind of process behind making this. So let's break it down because it's fascinating to see. He started off with this little mini draft model. Nothing fancy, just enough so that he can kind of wrap his head around what he was going to make. Zane then started to experiment with a few different approaches to making the scales. And hey, I love to see some experimentation like this. Because that's the creative process, right? It's never going to be perfect the first time you build it. You got to give it a few tries, and you got to find the best result. And I think he did. Because Zane said that, hey, he's going to stick with mixel joints to help achieve those curves. And he's doing so because they're available on the Pick-a-Brick wall. See, that's smart. When you're doing something this big, you have to factor in budget. So making sure that you're using pieces that you can easily get a cheap, big supply of, you just have to do that. Yeah, and this ring section approach, it's quite a clever way of doing this, being able to expand or decrease the size. But of course, you can't just have the scales, you've got to have an underlying structure underneath. So Zane again did some more attempts, but they didn't quite work out. In the end, a very simple brick-built approach appeared to be the best. And I love that too. The simple stuff, that is always the way to go. There's no need to overcomplicate it sometimes. And then this image here kind of gives you an idea of how the scales were wrapped around the frame. And dude, this thing is massive. Yeah man, that's the mighty Gyarados. Dude, this is so sick. It's always a joy to see creations that are this huge and this impressive, and that's a staple of Zane Houston. Well done. Up next is your favorite and mine, it's Eevee. And this is made by the master himself, Mike Neves. Mike is a master of capturing rounded shapes and curved angles on Pokemon. Looking at this side by side with the OG and the mock, it is extraordinary how accurate this is. And to think that Mike was able to pull off curved angles like this with LEGO bricks? Wild. Mike is constantly doing stuff that no other builder is even capable of doing. My favorite part has to be these ears. The way that one droops down and the other one sticks up, there's something so lifelike about that, and it just looks adorable. But take a closer look. What's really impressive is that the majority of this is exclusively made out of 1x2 plates. You'll notice a few areas where there's like a 1x1 plate or 1x1 bricks. But yeah, look, if you really wanted to, you could make this exclusively out of those plates, for the most part. And I think that in itself is exceptional. That is the power of one LEGO element. Even just the simple repetition of the same piece. That's enough to create something astonishingly amazing and incredibly accurate. Wow. Over to the legendary Pokemon Giratina, and this was made by Prixard. The last creation we saw, it was very system heavy. Well, both of them were. So it's nice to see one that uses way more Bionicle. And yo, they did an exceptional job of matching the shapes and the forms, because I think that's a difficult thing to do with Bionicle pieces. Typically, Bionicle pieces are very detail heavy and greebled, and that's just not how Giratina looks. But I think they did it in a very modest and incredibly effective way that looks accurate and beautiful. For example, the wing design. It's just using your standard CCBS Hero Factory joint piece. That's it. Now, while that may seem simple, it does look perfectly accurate. Hey man, again, like Zane said, the simple option is often the best one to do. This works. But we've got more clever part use, don't you worry. Look at the face. The way that it's using these gold blade elements that came on the Brain Attack set. Scarox. What? I don't know, man. The shape, the edges of this. It looks so much like the source material. Who'd have thought this would look so good in this context? It was also an awesome idea to use those gold spikes on the neck. They work quite nicely. These pieces in this color, they came on the Invasion from Below set Queen Beast. You can see them on the edge of her staff. It is a surprise, to be sure, to see Giratina looking this good with Bionicle parts. I really thought that you would need far more system elements to pull this off, but I'm very happy to be proven wrong. This slaps. And last but definitely not least, a childhood favorite of mine, I've got Kabutops. This is made by Luigi1456 Andrew. Oh, well, there's so much to love here. I mean, first of all, 10 out of 10 for keeping it accurate. But I'm impressed by these Antros blades on the hands. I've never really noticed it until now, but they are a pretty fantastic match. And you can say the same about the head design. Lovely choice to use those white claws for the teeny tiny eyes. That looks great. And then we've got some brown Technic panels up the top here. In this color, these would have appeared in some Star Wars Ultra Build sets. Well, just this speeder bike one specifically. You can see them here. By the way, real quick, I had this exact piece snap on me the other day. Because remember, these came from the age of brittle brown pieces. So if you have this at home, handle it with caution. You don't want your pieces breaking like they did for me. But yeah, let's do a side by side with these parts and Kabutops' head. Look, the smooth texture is close enough, but then the way that Luigi Andrew has integrated it into a larger design, it's dope. But one last touch. Kabutops has some silver Nuva shoulder armor on his belly, and this is a bit of a similar story to the head. The look of these parts, it's such a good match for that OG torso design. Isn't it crazy that there are so many LEGO pieces that are a perfect fit for Kabutops? Never would have expected it until I saw it. There you have it, folks. That's some phenomenal Bionicle and LEGO Pokemon. Hopefully seeing these has given you some ideas, and maybe you can go build some Pokemon mocks yourself. If you liked the mocks we saw today, be sure to take a look at the links below. Following those links will show you even more creations by these talented builders. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy building, and bye for now. All my food's here. I ordered something called a Po Taco. It's got garlic and chili butter, spring onions, light sour cream, and a low-carb spud.